So a few weeks ago in one of my videos, I loosely asked you guys if you'd be interested in a top 10 Taylor Swift songs, and well, y'all were interested. So with that in mind, welcome to my top 10 Taylor Swift songs. If I'm being honest, this was a pretty daunting task because this isn't just another top 10. We're talking about one of the most unanimously adored and globally successful musical artists of all time, really. But it was especially intimidating because I am not a diehard Taylor Swift fan, and I'm not gonna act like one either. Over the years, sure, I've ventured through her whole discography, but it's not like I've memorized every line on every song of every album, so I'll admit my list probably looks notably different than someone who does know every line of every song of every album. I'll also admit right off the bat, I definitely have a sizable bias towards Folklore, but that's only because I think it's her best album by a long shot. So if you want to get mad at me and tell me how awful my list is, you are perfectly free to do that in the comments below, as long as you understand that you're actually getting mad at a stranger on the internet over Taylor Swift songs. But if that's the hill you're willing to die on, it is waiting for you down below. My point is, I am what you would call a casual Taylor Swift enjoyer, which is no reflection of my opinion on the music. I think the majority of her music is deserving of the praise it receives, but I don't repent my sins to Taylor Swift. You know, I don't make every decision in my life thinking, what would Taylor do? Frankly, the only thing related to Taylor Swift that I enjoy more than her musical output is trolling her hypersensitive and very overprotective fan base.
But Beyonce had one of the best videos of all time.
But don't let my trolling lead you to believe that I'm not a fan of the music, because I am, otherwise I wouldn't be making this video. So, I've done way too much talking, let's just get into it. Okay, so this is definitely one of my more rogue picks simply because of how new it is, and maybe there is some recency bias, but only time will confirm or deny if that is there. What I do know is this is a fantastic song, and my favorite part is that I still fully don't understand what it's about. I've tried reading into it online, I've heard the lyrics over and over. It alludes to different things like a murder or a mistress or both, but no conclusion is ever brought to light, and it's that open-ended nature of the song that I love so much. When she says there's only things Carolina will ever know, it almost feels like this abducting moment where I find myself wrapped up in this fictional world she builds, because all of a sudden, rather than just listening in on someone else's story, you become part of the catch because you also don't know the things Carolina knows. It's haunting, it's eerie, it's unsettling, it's beautifully unfinished. I absolutely love it. Fictional Taylor, low-key the GOAT Taylor. Someday I'll be... Completely switching eras. We're leaping back about a dozen years for the number 9 spot. Mean is this sassy, bitter split anthem with Taylor telling this guy how much better she's going to become after their breakup, but all he'll ever be is mean. Someday she'll be living in a big old city doing great, but all he's ever going to be is mean. And it's just such a bop. The bridge is classic sassy Taylor just putting this guy through the absolute ringer, but sitting here in 2022 looking at her new Rhode Island home, you can't really say she was wrong. Imagine you were one of the guys that dated Taylor Swift in high school. Surely that's gotta sting, right? Especially if you were the one that ended that relationship. You already know that guy who goes to the gym and just punches air for 3 hours every morning, watching pictures of her houses on crappy talk shows. That said though, some of Taylor's songs definitely make her seem like a very high maintenance investment, so maybe the guys who dated her dodged like a once-in-a-lifetime bullet. This has got to be one of the heftiest, most addictive, catchiest bangers of the 2000s. I don't care if you run the Italian mob, I don't care if you're a leader in the Mexican cartel, whether you're just driving to work on a Tuesday or hijacking a car coming over the border. If this song comes on, you know every darn word and you are screaming every darn word. Heck, I went to the nation's capital this past weekend, which is Ottawa, because I'm Canadian. And on the way home, while stuck in Toronto traffic, I put this song on, and even my one buddy who pretty much exclusively listens to NBA YoungBoy absolutely came alive in the backseat. It just has that effect. You're on the phone, I'm in my room, it's a typical like I do. I'm so cringy, what am I doing? Time, mystical time, cutting me. The first of several Folklore submissions on this list is Invisible String. This is one of my favorite deep cuts from Folklore. When that opening guitar line starts plucking in my ears, I feel like a flower blooming in the clouds. The production is just as cute as the story being told. One of my favorite aspects of the song is just how poetically it's written. In the verses, she rearranges the sentences in such a way that puts emphasis on different things like color and mood, while going down perfectly smooth, not sounding like she's trying too hard. Green was the color of the grass where I used to read at Centennial Park. Bad was the blood of the song in the cab on your first trip to LA. I just realized, is that like Bad Blood? Ooh, ooh. And then the way it comes full circle with her coming back to Centennial Park in the final verse is just awesome. And then just the entire chorus. I struggle to find words to explain my adoration of how she articulates the presence of this invisible string. That was too many big words, I can't lie. Explaining how time gave her no compasses, there was nothing that could have led these two together other than destiny. It's the only explanation for their romance ever falling into place.
Just another picture to burn.
While making this list, I really noticed a trend. The younger Taylor is, the more I prefer her high energy bangers, and the older she is, the more I prefer her melancholy mind benders. But we's talking about young Taylor, so you know it's a banger.
By the way, stupid old nigga truck and never let me. Just another picture to burn.
Picture to Burn is like the perfect petty juvenile breakup song. You broke my heart, so I hate you, and now I'm not going to let my friends associate with you, and I'm going to repost minimalist aesthetic-y quotes about self-improvement and self-worth. Or in Taylor's time, burn the picture she has of the guy. What I love about this song is just how blatantly country it is. It is that prime 2000s country sound. Taylor's twang is more present than ever, and that's one thing I've always found interesting. I've always raised an eyebrow about. Where is Taylor's accent gone? Where is her twang? Because I've noticed over the years, as Taylor has separated herself further and further and further from country music, her country accent we hear on her first few albums steadily phases out from her delivery. And I've always wondered, like, did she exaggerate it in the beginning? Is she hiding it nowadays? Or legitimately is being in the mainstream pop world for that long just changed the way she talks? But it is something I've always wondered. But regardless, Picture to Burn, eat her.
Begging you, please don't go.
This is my favorite old Taylor song, right? So if you were waiting for a specific throwback Taylor Swift song, if it hasn't been on the list yet, it ain't coming, chief. I know this might be a basic pick in some people's eyes, but who isn't getting turned up to Love Story whenever it comes on? The amount of absurd memories I have with this song is something no other song can compete with, simply because it's so unanimously loved. I watched one of my good friends do an improv lip-sync performance of this song on a church stage. I have performed a duet with some random lady in HomeSense, aka Home Good for you American people, in one of their aisles using a broom as a microphone when it came on in the store. No other song can lay claim to experiences anywhere in the realm of those. And for that reason, Love Story is my favorite old school Taylor Swift song. Bro, but get it on.
Please don't go.
Bro, it's crazy this last chorus is.
And I say,
You know what's about to hit?
is this in my cold outer ring and say,
Bang!
let's get out of this town.
Now we're really getting down there, nearly at my Taylor Swift podium. I'm also losing my voice. Like, I knew that before I started recording, but this ain't helping. But runner up to the podium is Wildest Dreams. This song is the audible equivalent to a dream, which I guess, now saying that is also in the title of the song. But I'm out of breath from that Love Story thing. That's sad. I go to the gym and I'm out of breath from that. Ugh. But yeah, I guess Dream is in the title of the song, but it just goes to show how well executed I think this song is. Truthfully, I've never been a fan of like heavily produced poppy Taylor. I talked about it in my latest episode of Hot Takes, but it's why I've never been a fan of albums like 1989, Reputation, and most recently Midnights. However, Wildest Dreams is this weird exception to the rule where I think the ambitious, larger-than-life sound and production is what makes the song so enthralling. Pair that with the desperate, pleading lyrics and delivery from Taylor, and yeah, you have a stunner of a song. The nostalgia factor of this song is absolutely undeniable. Not nostalgic in the way that it brings me back to grade 4 when this song was released. Nostalgic in the way that it reminds me of some picture-perfect teenage romance I was never even a part of. It's the emphatic parting of ways while Taylor begs to not be forgotten. That fear of being forgotten leads to a masterful song, and compelling would just be an understatement. Moving on, before we go to the top 3 though, hold ye's horses. I got some honorable mentions. Mr. Perfectly Fine. Bop. Hey Steven. Bop. Our Song. Bop. Cornelia Street has always been my favorite from her Lover album in 2019, but couldn't quite crack my top 10. Teardrops on My Guitar is just as iconic as it is beautiful. And lastly, the first song in her discography, Tim McGraw. This song was a fraction of a hair away from making my top 10, but I wound up giving number 10 to Carolina. So when I say recency bias, if Carolina were to fall off for me over time, you can be sure this is what I would put in its place. Podium time. Spoiler alert, it's pretty well dominated by a certain album you may or not be able to guess. Oh, this song is perfect. Magical, ethereal, elegant, fragile, celestial, heavenly, whatever word or synonym you want to use, that's what this song is. The instrumental is so lush yet perfectly understated. Those echoing oohs in the transitions sound like angels in my ears, and the song is just written so darn well. The way she paints these images of spoiled innocence and juxtaposing the pleasure with the shame, the youthfulness with the maturity, what more is there to say? I don't have much else to say, so I'm just gonna read the chorus and you can be left in awe while I do so. And that's the thing about illicit affairs and clandestine meetings and longing stares. It's born from just one single glance, but it dies and it dies and it dies a million little times. I actually always thought she was saying clandestine meetings, but nah, she's saying clandestine. I had to Google what that even meant. Something clandestine is kept secret or done secretively, especially because it is illicit. And I just love the way she illustrates the ongoing guilt, because no matter how wrong both parties know it is, they'll always come back to it. That's why it was born once, but it continues to die over and over and over. Because they do it, and they're like, right, that's it, we're done, it's dead. And then the way Taylor, or the character, has this breakdown in the bridge where she explodes on her partner, venting about the mess she's become. Illicit Affairs is perfection and brilliance condensed into 3 minutes and 11 seconds for your listening enjoyment. But how could there possibly be two songs better than Illicit Affairs?
Yeah, sort of, that's your party.
Betty is one of the most complete and wholly satisfying songs I know. From the story being told to the instrumental build, climaxing with that key change in the final chorus, Betty is absolutely flawless. It's so grand and theatrical, it's absolutely irresistible. But why is Taylor got me using so many big words? It is a perfect folk ballad with the overlapping guitar lines and dynamic rhythms, the harmonica, the washed out steel guitar, and the mellow pianos. The layers just ever so subtly add on to each other as the song progresses, but you never really notice until each chorus, with the new musical checkpoint finally being realized. I was listening to it as I was organizing my thoughts for this video, and I had to keep pausing to just enjoy the song. When it comes on, I do not want to be distracted. Stop talking to me, leave me alone, pause whatever you're doing. When Betty comes on, I am occupied for this many minutes, bro. And that's not even including how Betty plays into the love triangle and bigger picture of folklore as a whole, which actually Middle 8 has a fantastic video about explaining if you want to get the whole in-depth dive of how folklore is all interwoven.
That's your party. You love me when we kiss.
In front of all them stupid Swifty friends, bro! That's just mean. Betty, man. Betty. Alright, I know you've been waiting. What is my favorite Taylor Swift song? What is it? Part of me wants to place an ad right here, so y'all gotta wait another 15 seconds.
New Old Spice shaving gel is newer than a fresh pair of socks.
But I'm too nice to do that. I'm Canadian and we're nice like that. So instead, I'm just gonna ramble for 15 seconds to build suspense. Okay.
Back when we were still changing for the better.
Legitimately, from the first time I heard it back in June of 2020, August has been my favorite Taylor Swift song. And I love when that happens. It's like love at first sight, but with a song. Other examples like that off the top of my head would be Sam Hunt's 2016, Morgan Wade's Wilder Days, Post Malone's Stay. I know I'm going all over the map here right now, but I'm trying to avoid artists that I might do a top 10 on in the future. Otherwise, whole video kind of spoiled. But you get my point. It's that moment where you don't need time. You don't need to listen to it again. You just know it's the one. Just skip the line instantly. That's what August was for me. For me, August is all about the experience. If I'm being honest, from a purely objective standpoint, August probably isn't Taylor's best work. But no Taylor Swift song gives me the experience, makes me feel the way August does. So when we're talking about a subjective list, yeah, it's gonna run away with the #1 spot. Whether you've never heard it or you've heard it a million times before, I think everyone at least once should listen to August in one of two environments. Either lay down in your bed in complete darkness and just let the song crash on you like a freaking tidal wave. Or if you don't live in a city, just get your bike out and go for a late night ride through some nature. I guarantee it will be a life-changing experience, and you can thank me later in the comments. Similar to Wildest Dreams, August just has this aura surrounding it. This overwhelming nostalgia. As Taylor says, seeing yourself lost in the memory, because August slipped away into a moment in time. I think a big factor contributing to my love for August is nothing more than when it came out. The entirety of 2020 was the most unique experience I have ever had and will most likely ever have. But especially that summer, I think we can all agree the vibes were pretty high. It was elite, and one of these songs on heaviest rotation through that whole season was August. So now listening to August almost in 2023, it brings me straight back to those times, and it's multiplied due to the fact that the song is literally about a season of life slipping away and drifting further and further into the past. And that is why August is my favorite Taylor Swift song. All my homies love August. You gotta love August. It's crazy, like people with taste like August, and that's just a fact. Well, that's all for today. That's all my voice can handle for today. Let me know in the comments below your favorite Taylor Swift songs. What did you think of my list? Who do you want to see next for a top 10? Drop it all down there. If you enjoyed this video, a like really does help me out. And if you're new to the channel and like what you see, maybe consider subscribing for some more country music content. Especially right now is the time to hop on board. We got year-end content coming up very soon. And yeah, down below you can find links to my Instagram, Discord, podcast, and Patreon if you'd like to follow me or support me on any of those. And until next time, I hope you guys have a fantastic day.